Okay, good evening. Welcome back. Uh, as I was talking, excited to get started with chapter 3. As I was explaining, I will try to do a couple of process improvement. I'm sorry, I'm very poor in checking out the material. So that responsibility is handed over to another team. They will make sure that the material will be available by Tuesday at least, initially by Tuesday. So if we complete the session by today, the video as well as the material will be available by Tuesday. The reason is the clarity is more important from now onwards. We need to make sure that we have clarity in what we are doing, and also it flows from one chapter to the other, from verse to verse. So if you have any questions or any doubts, please post that. We will try to answer as much as possible. And what I propose is like once in a quarter, we can bring some external experts also from different traditions to answer these questions. So that would be really good. I had a couple of chats with some experts, so they are ready to support us in this process. So once we complete a chapter, we can put all the questions and answers. So with that, we can get into chapter 3. As I said, like the clarity is extremely important. So this chapter gets confused if that clarity is not there, because a lot of people get completely confused over this chapter, the purpose of this chapter, etc. So today what we are going to do is we are going to do an introduction. Typically the introduction is a metadata. We talk about the chapter. We talk about, on a high level, we talk about the chapter. But what I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to take a different perspective and try to see what exactly leading into this chapter. So this material you are going to see is very unique. You won't see this material anywhere else. But of course, the content would be there, but the approach is very unique. What we are trying to do is we are getting into this chapter by making sure that the fundamentals are very clear. So that's why today's session is important. If you have any doubts, please let me know. We can clear that and move ahead. And so we will do a quick introduction, and then Anu can probably chant this chapter because this is a nice chapter to listen. And then we can start the verses from next week. So we'll take 16 sessions to cover these 43 verses. 14 session to cover the verses, and one introduction and one recap. So that's how we are planning to do this in 16 session. So 43 verses are there. One day we will cover 4 verses, but everywhere else it will be 3 verses. So this is the approach. Any questions? Okay. So now let's get into the structure of the Bhagavad Gita. I think I'm talking about the structure of the Bhagavad Gita multiple times. So it should be clear to all of you. The chapter 1 of the Gita is a problem statement. Essentially, what exactly is the fundamental human problem? That is what is discussed by the first chapter. Second chapter is the summary of the solution and practice. What exactly is the practice, which is known as yoga? And what is the solution? It is knowledge. So that total topic is elaborated in the second chapter. If you really look at second chapter, we talked about that in our recap last week. There are multiple topics. Verse 1 to 10 talk about the problem statement once again. Verse 11 to 37 is emphasizing the fact that we need to do what needs to be done. So the first portion of that is discussed from a spiritual perspective. There we talk about the 3 orders of reality, etc. And then it talks about karmic perspective. And finally, it talks about the Laukika perspective, which is the worldly perspective. From verse 38 to 53, you see the practice, which is known as yoga. So 3 definitions of yoga was given. And from 54 to 72 is the characteristics of a man of perfection. So that is what we saw in the second chapter. So second chapter is a summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Then chapter 3 to 7 is nothing but a double click or a detailed analysis of what we covered in chapter 2. For example, we touched Karma Yoga in chapter 2. We saw the brilliant definition of Karma Yoga. So that topic is taken and elaborated in 3, 4, and 5. So like that, meditation is mentioned in chapter 2, but the detailed meditation is you are going to see in chapter 6. The nature of the absolute reality is touched in chapter 2, but that will be seen in chapter 7. So like that means devotion is touched in chapter 2. We are going to see that in chapter 12. So chapter 3 to 17 is a detailed analysis of what is covered by chapter 2. And finally, chapter 8 is again a recap. I don't know whether anybody of you have attended the business writing courses. What exactly they say? How do you start? An introduction, which clearly summarizing the entire goal. And then they say like you have to have each paragraph talking about each of those points. And finally, they say you have to come back and recap it everything. So that's exactly what is being followed by the Gita. So that is what the structure of the Bhagavad Gita. And then actually what we are going to see is, we are going to, another way of looking at the Gita is another dicing and slicing. The first 6 chapter of the Gita is known as Prathama Shatka, which is mainly talking about the individual I. What is the nature of myself? That is the first 6 chapter. And the chapter 7 to 12 is going to talk about what is the nature of that Ishvara or the absolute reality. And the last 6 chapters are going to talk about what is the connection between these two. So this is the entire theme of the another way of looking at the Bhagavad Gita. So from that perspective, even now we are in that Prathama Shatka, which is talking about the individual I. Any questions? Okay, very good. So with that, let's jump into the actual topic. So this is very important analysis. The 2 slides we are going to do is very important. Hopefully this topic is clear with chapter 2, but otherwise please ask any question because we wanted to understand this topic very clearly. So we saw in chapter 2 that the fundamental problem of a human being is the wrong self-identity. So I'm just going to take the Swapna Drishtanta of the Vedanta and try to explain that from that angle. So let's take the example of a dream. A person is dreaming. He is dreaming in his dream. The dream can be conscious and unconscious dream. A conscious dream is what? Like I'm sitting here, closing my eyes, and I'm thinking about my childhood. Or I can sit here, close my eyes and think about my retirement. How am I going to do my time? What am I going to do, etc. So that is one way of dreaming, daydreaming. And another one is actually when you are sleeping, you're dreaming. In both cases, I wanted to bring your attention to a few factors. First one is, do I have an existence in the dream? Absolutely, right? So yesterday I saw a dream where I was traveling to Hawaii. Brilliant. There is an existence. There is an experience. Like I felt, okay, I'm in front of the beach. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So at least when I was in that dream space and dream time, I experienced that world. So I do have an existence. That existence may not be an absolute existence. That existence might be only a feeling, but I had an existence and I had an experience. Second point is, am I experiencing a world in a dream? Absolutely. I'm experiencing a world, whether that world may be real or illusionary, but it's a fact that I experienced a world. Take the multiple examples. I was in Hawaii, so I experienced the Hawaii world, which was created by my dream. I was there. Think about the retirement example I talked. I experienced the world which is yet to happen. So you saw that you were in Indonesia, Bali, you were in another beach, you were visiting the temples there, you're enjoying the places there. And when you look at yourself in a mirror, you can see that you are a little bit old, but you experienced. You were there in the dream, and you are experiencing a world also in that dream. So that is also true. Now, the third question is, in dreams, do you have to manage or face challenges? Absolutely, right? So the other day I was joking the example. Somebody was saying he lost his job in the dream. So in as long as he is in the dream, that's a reality for him and he needs to handle. Yes, the challenges of the dream world you have to face and manage. And how do you interact with the dream world? In your dream, how do you interact? You may get into a train, you may get into a flight, you may take this object, you may eat something, you see something, you will have to interact with the world. And what is the world you are interacting with? The dream world. And what exactly is the means for you to interact with the world? You have a dream body, meaning where there you have a dream eye and you have a dream ear, and you have it means using that dream body, you are interacting with the dream world. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm saying anything, but this example is very powerful. If you get this example, everything is going to be very clear. Now the question is, are you the dream body? Somebody said he had a corona in the dream. Somebody said he was being chased by a tiger in a dream. Somebody said like he was about to die in a dream. But if the dream body dies, are you going to die? Or are you limited? Is your scope, is that limited to the dream body? You know for sure, you'll laugh at me and you'll say that, no, I do have an existence beyond this dream body. So you, even though you are there, you experienced a dream world, you interacted with the dream world through a dream body, and in that dream, your understanding was, I am this dream body, but I do have an existence beyond the dream body. Yes, I continue to exist beyond the dream world and the dream body. You realize only that when you wake up. Now, the question is, if in the dream, if I take myself as a dream body, what is going to be my condition? Look at this verse. This word is very, very, very powerful. In the dream, if you take yourself as a dream body, and if you get corona in the dream and you are going to be in the hospital, I'll be anxious, I'll be worried, I will be concerned. Why? Because in that dream space and time, my belief is that I am the dream body, and anything happens to that dream body is going to put an end to my existence in this universe. That's why I'm worried. So if I take myself as the dream body, I will be subjected to more anxiety, more worry, more problems, because any problem happening with the dream body is my problem, right? If your hand is not working in the dream world, you will be extremely concerned because the dream hand is not working, but that's not your hand, but you will be really worried. So that's the problem. Now the next problem is what exactly is the solution of the sufferings in the dream? What exactly is the solution of your sufferings in the dream? You need to identify your true identity. If you know that I'm not the dream body, yes, I'm using the dream body, and the dream body is a mandatory thing as long as I'm in that dream world, but I have an existence beyond the dream world, then what is going to happen? The sufferings will vanish. You know that I have an existence beyond that. So the solution for that dream problem is to reveal my self-identity from that wrong self-identity of the dream body to the actual identity. So that's the solution. And what is the role of the dream body? It is a must have. If I don't have the dream body, I cannot experience the dream. So the dream body is important, but the scope of the dream body is limited to the scope of that dream world. But the scope of myself is much beyond that dream world. Let me pause here. Isn't it a big means? Can you contemplate upon this? And now let's relate that with the real world. Look at the power of this example. Anybody wants to comment? Think
Rajesh,
through this. Contemplate upon this. Yes, Rohitji, sorry about that.
yeah, Rajesh, the existence outside of the dream world, you don't know that when you are in a dream, though.
Exactly. That's the problem, Rohitji. Because in the dream world, what is my feeling? I am the dream body. And my existence will come to an end because I'm worried and I'm anxious, because in the dream world, I'm not aware or at least confident of my existence because of my limited identity with my dream world. That is exactly the problem. So take this example and apply to our human world. Self identity in the human world. Do I have an existence in the human world? Yes, you will say that right now. That's what we are experiencing. We have an existence in the dream world. Am I experiencing in a world? Yes, absolutely. I'm experiencing the human world. Do I have to face and manage challenges in the world? Yes. Oh my God, the corona to the financial crisis, everything, job, boss, spouse, kids, means I'm saying that if there is a problem, all these you have to face. How do I interact with the world? With the human body. Think about that. Just think about this exactly similar that as that of the dream world. In the dream world, do I have an existence? Yes, I was in the Hawaii. Right now, I'm sitting in the North Brunswick. Am I experiencing the world? Yes, I saw the Hawaii through my dream eye, through the dream body, etc. Here I'm seeing the means in my room right now. I'm seeing the laptop through my own eyes and my own body. Do I have to interact with the world? How do I interact with the world? With my body, absolutely. In the human world, in the dream world, with the dream body. Am I the human body? No. Scriptures comes back and tells that you do have an existence beyond the human world. Just like the point Rohitji brought up, the sufferings of the dream world was due to the fact that I don't know that I have an existence beyond the dream world. When I'm in the dream, I'm not aware of that. Only when that dream becomes a lucid dream, I know that I have an existence outside of that. And the moment the dream becomes a lucid dream, my fear vanishes, my problem vanishes. So if in this world, right now I am worried, tense, anxious, etc., all my sufferings, it is due to the fact that I think myself as this body. This body is only a means to interact with the world. This is a must-have means for interacting with this world, human world, but I do have an existence. This is what the scripture tells. Now, if I take myself as a human body, what is the problem? I will be a victim of everything happening in this world. That is the sufferings. And what is the solution for the suffering? Exactly the same solution as that of the dream world. I need to know my real identity. I need to know that I have an existence beyond this human world, and my identity is Atma, or the consciousness, not the body. That I need to know. Just like in the dream world, I need to know that I am not the dream body. I am the consciousness that is enlivening the dream body. If I have that, that becomes a lucid dream. So that vanishes, means all the problems will be vanished. But here, exactly the same way. And what is the role of the human body? It's a must have, right? If somebody say that human body do not have a value, that is wrong completely. What we are saying is that it has an extremely high significance. Without this wonderful gift from the God, we cannot interact with the world. So this comparison is a very, very powerful comparison. You might have seen this in the Atma Bodha. We have been doing this for a while. But this one-to-one comparison is going to give you how Vedanta is addressing the problem. So now the question is, how do I get out of my sufferings? Knowledge. I need to know myself. That's very important. But before that, any question this about this self-identity. Self-identity in the dream world, self-identity in the human world. Any questions? Okay, great. And I hope we are clear with this. And another diagram which illustrates this point a little bit further. So look at this chart. Let's go to the top portion first. What is my true identity? Atma. And it was there beyond the time. That is why you can see it's like a, um, you can see opponent at both sides. From time immemorial, your existence was there. And we call that as the absolute reality or the Atma. And then what happens? You get a physical body. That physical body, the duration is limited. This is my false identity. And during the duration of that physical body, this is called as relative reality. And then what happens? During the existence of my relative reality, let's say that this life of mine can be considered as a relative reality. Relative reality means that it is real, but it is time bound. That's all. Absolute reality means it is real, but it is not bound by time. It is always there. Relative reality, I come to this world, I exist in this world only for some time. That is my physical body. And illusionary reality is what? Every day I dream. I mean, every day you won't dream, but multiple dreams I may have in one physical life. So the relationship between absolute reality and the relative reality, in this particular cycle, I may have hundreds of births. So hundreds of relative reality, hundreds of bodies, human bodies would be there. Then what? In every human birth, I may have thousands of dreams. And that is what is illusionary reality. So what is true identity and what is false identity? In my dream, I identify with the dream world, dream body. That's a false identity. In my world, human world, I identify myself with the human body. That is also a false identity. But my true identity is Atma, which is not subjected to change. So this is another illustration. So dream world, for you to interact, for Atma to manifest in the dream world, you need a dream body. For the Atma to manifest, experience anything in the human world, you need a human body. But understand that they are only tools. I was using the same, very another similar example. You need a telephone for you to call somebody which is in the telephone network. Somebody in, let's say that Florida, I want to call, I need to have a phone. Without that phone, I won't be manifested to the person. But if I means, but that doesn't mean that I am the phone. Just like that, I need a dream body to be active in the dream space, but I'm not the dream body. So therefore, you can call these realities into three angles, three perspectives. One is absolute reality, which is my true nature, which is not subjected to any change or destruction and not confined to a body. It has an existence beyond the bodies. And that is why you can see that it is always there. Relative reality, limited existence in a time and space. So you can say that, yes, it has a relative existence. Nobody can say that my body is false. I do exist here. Nobody can negate that. But if I identify with that body, it's a false identity. Illusionary reality, really no existence. Actually, it happened in my mind. There is no physical existence at all. But still, when I was in that dream, I felt that I was existing. So it had existence only in human mind. So this is, in Sanskrit, we call it as absolute reality is called as, anybody remembering that? What exactly you call absolute reality in Sanskrit?
Satyam.
Paramarthika Satyam. Paramarthika Satyam. That means absolute reality. It is the Paramartha. It is the true, absolute reality. Relative reality is known as, anybody?
Vyavasayika.
Vyavaharika. Vyavaharika Satyam. Vyavahara means transaction or relative. Vyavaharika Satyam. And what is illusionary reality is known as in Sanskrit?
Pratipasika.
Pradipasika Satyam. Exactly. So is this clear? This topic is very important because this is what we have been discussing throughout the second chapter, and this is the entire Atma Bodha. But this perspective, this understanding, or this grounding is very important to proceed with the Gita. Let me pause here. Anybody wants to discuss any of their findings or thoughts, or any additional clarity you want to bring?
Uh, Rajesh, when you talk about Maya, that's coming under the relative reality or illusionary?
Both,
Both.
Gina. So, Maya is Vikshepa and Avarana, right? So
Both.
Maya is that make you feel, because you are true in a dream. Let's take the example of a dream. In a dream, you know for sure. Now, if you sit and think that, you know that what? There is no, your identity is not the dream body. But when you are in that dream, what happens? You feel that I am that dream body. So that phenomenon, which is going to veil your knowledge, which will prevent you from understanding your true identity, that is called Maya. So Maya's power, because of Maya, you feel that I am not the Atma, but I am the relative reality or the illusionary reality. Maya is much more than that, but that is one of the predominant role of Maya. So this Narada Bhakti Sutra, anybody is interested more in Maya, you can read that. Means 15, 20 different interpretations were given. But I think for high level understanding, this is good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yes, Rohitji, please.
Just as you have lucid dream, where you know you are dreaming in a dream world, could you have a lucid existence from absolute reality perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rohitji. So let's think about the lucid dream. Lucid dream means I still feel that I know that I'm in the dream world, but I know that I'm dreaming. So when the dream becomes lucid dream, I know that I'm dreaming, but I'm playing a role there. So like that, if you extend that lucid dream example into the human world, a self-realized master can be considered like having a lucid dream. He know that he has a role to play in this world. He has to teach, he has to do X, Y, and Z, but he knows that his identity is, or scope is not just limited to the human world. Even after his body is over, his existence continue. That is going to give him all the courage to face the death. That is why Swami Vivekananda was giving that famous utterance, where Bamba not just going to make you to live your life efficiently, but it is going to help you to die peacefully also. Because you know that, because the moment you realize that the dream is a lucid dream, I'm not going to be afraid of the corona. Of course, I may take treatment for corona in the dream world, but I know that, yeah, it cannot affect me beyond certain things. Yes, it can prevent my existence in the dream world, but it cannot stop me from existing at all. That's the difference. That understanding is what is self-realization is. And that is the only way to solve all the problem, because whatever you do, eventually you have to face some facts, and this is the
Yeah, Rajesh, I
fundamental.
just was about to make.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. I was just about to ask the question in the same lines you just explained. So basically, whatever Rohit Ji was asking, see, the illusionary reality seems to be for people like we theoretically we understand the concept, but then we still are in the path, right? Like we are
Exactly.
moving towards it, right? So if it is a self-realized person, basically the illusionary reality is due to all the fears or the things that we face in the day-to-day life,
Absolutely.
right? So that is how
Exactly.
the dreams manifest.
Yeah.
So those people, I mean, ideally, I was thinking maybe they won't even have this third thing, the illusionary reality at all, even the Maya, because they know that it is not there. Like they already realized that it is only the absolute reality and the relative reality is the only thing.
No, they won't run away from the world. They do have an existence. That is why it is called Satyam. It is not say that we are not calling it as Mithya, right? So say Tucham. Tucham means there is no existence. So let me say this example a little bit further on that, because this is very interesting topic. So think that you are in a dream, and think that somebody got a terminal disease in the dream. Let's say that Mr. John Smith got a terminal disease. He went to the doctor's office and he got the diagnosis that he has a terminal disease. At that point of time, he was sad. But I heard he happened to see a Bhagavad Gita in the dream world. The Gita tells him that, hey, John, you're not, means, yes, your body may perishes here, but you do have an existence. So he gets that knowledge in the dream. But what happens? That's not his experience. So we are all exposed to this teaching right now, but that is not come to our experience, right? That is a difference. It is known as aparokshanubhuti, parokshanubhuti. Right now, because we are in the dream, in the human world, in human's world, time and space. So we were exposed to this teaching of Bhagavad Gita. But even that exposure, yes, it may give you a hope, but unless that is in your direct experience, then only you can gain that courage and wisdom. So right now, what we are gaining is called parokshanubhuti, but through our practices, we need to make it aparokshanubhuti. Once you get, such people are known as self-realized masters. And that self-realized master continue to exist in this world because it's a relative reality. This is extremely important idea because without this you cannot understand Vedanta. So if you have doubts, let's discuss this, and we may have to come back to this topic time and again because the whole Gita or the whole Vedanta is built on this topic. Anybody has any other comments?
Yeah, Rajesh, one question. So, maybe see, so the self-realized masters or persons, would they have that illusionary feeling, or would they not have the Maya?
Of course. See, what is a lucid dream? Lucid dream means he is in the dream itself, but he knows that he has an existence outside of the dream. So he will be in the world of Maya, but he can see beyond the world of Maya. That's it. That's all it is.
Okay, so he's like a, it is like a lucid dream for him.
It's like a lucid dream. That is why Shankaracharya uses that example as a powerful teaching methodology.
So it is like always a lucid feeling for him. Like then it is like almost no illusion.
Yeah, no illusion. He knows that what is his identity, but he knows that I exist in the dream world. So if he goes to Hawaii, he will enjoy it, of course. But he is not affected by the world. So that's the important thing. And this is a very powerful teaching methodology. Please understand that. But a lot of people, what makes me very disappointed or a little bit sad, people think that world is a dream. World is not a dream. This is only an example. Right? Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari. Like, it is like, it doesn't mean that it is a dream. Some people say that the world is a dream, so we ignore the world. That is not what is being taught here. So we have to be very careful, and clarity is very important here. So now, if this is the case, what is the solution for my problems? But before that, let me give you a little bit more perspective on this topic. So let's say that I am in the dream world and I take myself as the dream body. So if a small thing happens to the dream body, I am worried. I'm extremely anxious. I'm completely depressed. All these emotions are going to come out of proportion when I take myself as the dream body in the dream space. What is the solution? The solution is understand that you have an existence beyond the dream world. And that is the role of the Vedanta. So now let's go and see what is next. So the problem here is what? It is the false identity with the body and the mind. I take myself as the body. In the dream world, I take myself as the dream body. In the dream world, I take in the human world, I take myself as the human body. So that's why all the potential problems with that body is my problem. But they are not me. The body is not my identity. So this wrong self-identity can create unhealthy mental states in me. Unhealthy and mental states, what? Any emotions out of proposed emotions. That is the unhealthy mental state. This is the problem. This is the problem of Gita. So the Gita's approach is, it is going to take you in a step-by-step process. First thing is illusionary reality to relative reality. And from relative reality, it will guide you to the absolute reality. And that is going to give you security, happiness, harmony, and freedom. So this is the high-level approach of the Gita. So let me elaborate on this topic with this diagram. So what happens for a person who is taking himself as a body? His stress, you can see, it will be like this. It will be always in that unhealthy state. You can see depression, anxiety, worry, dullness, all these problems are part and parcel of his life. Whereas a person who knows this, or at least who has control over his mind, his stress level will be there, but it will be always within that control limit. So the Gita's approach is, a person, in the second chapter we tells, right, Gata suna gata sumscha na anushojanti pandita. A person who has experienced the truth by knowing his own true identity. The person who has experienced the truth means he knows that what exactly is his true identity. He will not go to this unhealthy mental state at all. That is guaranteed. So that is what Gita is going to give us. Elaborating on that topic, the argument given in the second chapter is what? Absolute reality level, there is no birth, no death. There is no need for you to get into the unhealthy mental state from an absolute perspective. Relative reality, what is the argument? The argument is the change is inevitable. The body will come and go, but you do exist further that. So there is no point in worrying over something inevitable, because the dream, if you think that I should always be in that dream, that is never going to happen. Like that, if you think that you need to continue forever in this particular body, that is not going to happen, because that is inevitable. Verse 27 of the second chapter, Jatasya he dhruvo mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmat apariharyerthe natvam shochitum arhasi. This is the second chapter. And from an illusionary level, there is no existence, right? Why should you worry about something happening in your dream? That will not even touch you. So there is no need to worry. So from these three angles, the second chapter is going to give us, this is the thing. But for you to get this level, you need to have that knowledge about the absolute, relative, and illusionary. Without that knowledge, you will not get freedom from sufferings. So this knowledge is pretty much highlighted in the second chapter. So now let's come. So this is the approach of the Gita. This is our current state. The current state, our problem is we do have an uncontrolled mind, and the mind is not pure. As a result, what happens? I don't have proper self-identity, and I am a victim of every problem that is happening in the world. And look at the stage 2. Once you experience the absolute truth, what is going to happen? You will have a controlled mind, you have a pure mind, and you have proper self-identity. That is the ideal future state. So the whole Gita is a project that takes you from this current state to this stage 2, which is the future state. And whatever you have to do to transfer yourself from that current state to the future state is known as yoga on a high level. But please look here. So we say that knowledge is the solution for the problem. But can I go and seek the knowledge directly? Right now we are seeking knowledge, but the knowledge is not an experience yet. So that's why the stage 1 is extremely important. Nobody can go from this current state to the stage 2 in one step. What you have to do is, from current state to stage 1, you have to go. From stage 1, only you can transfer to stage 2. And what is that stage 1? You need to have a pure mind, and you need to have a calm mind, and you need to have a controlled mind. Without that, you cannot experience that knowledge. So that's why step 1 in our sadhana is Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. And step 2 of our sadhana is the Yoga of Knowledge, Jnana Yoga. So these are important. And what exactly is giving us freedom from all the suffering? It is the Jnana Yoga. But for you to become eligible for Jnana Yoga, of course we can learn like this, but for you to make that knowledge into your experience, you have to have some prerequisite. And that prerequisite can be gained by only Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. And if you understand this diagram, the third chapter is going to be very clear and simple. Arjuna's question was, he heard all these lectures by Krishna saying that only knowledge can liberate you. And only by having the self-knowledge, all these sufferings will vanish. So how to gain knowledge? Only through the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. So Arjuna's question was, why are you asking me to do the yoga, Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga? Why don't I just go and seek Jnana Yoga? Clear? That is the question. That is the doubt that came to Arjuna. Right now I explained with this diagram and all, that's why you understand. Otherwise you may also think that Krishna is saying that knowledge is the solution, but you go and do yoga, Karma Yoga. So Arjuna got confused, but after listening to second chapter, Krishna glorified the Karma Yoga. He said like karmani evaha adhikaraste. He gave 3 definitions. Then he said like the last 18 verses he highlighted the knowledge. Only knowledge can. So it's like doctor is saying that for your disease the treatment is ABC, but you have to do XYZ. Right? You got why? What is the theme of the third chapter? So Arjuna's third chapter opens up with a question by Arjuna. You say, Jayasi chet karmanasti mata buddhir janardana tatkim karmani khore mam niyojayati keshava. You say that knowledge is the only solution, or that which removes the problem. And then you are asking me to do the yoga. How is that possible? And he tells, Vyami shrenena vakyena buddhim mohat yasivame. You are successfully confused me. You are contradicting yourself. In fact, Krishna was not contradicting. It is Arjuna's understanding. If it is Arjuna's questions, it is naturally our question also. So this slide is also very important. Where exactly Karma Yoga fits, where exactly Upasana Yoga fits, and where exactly Jnana Yoga fits. Karma Yoga's role is purity of the mind. Upasana Yoga's role is stability of the mind. And with that stable and purified mind, if you try to reinforce your learning, you are there. And I'll have to tell you, like, if you read all these paperback books, you get confused. This is where a lot of books also confuses and mislead you. So please be careful. Please don't fall into this trap. Otherwise, Gita will remain as a mystery for all of us. I hope this group is very clear with this topic, because we have been highlighting this for a long time. I have to tell you this story. This particular slide, these 3, whatever I covered today was personally taught to me by Swami Dayananda in a one-on-one conversation. The way he explained to me at that point of time was, he said, I'm going to give you the key to unlock the whole Gita. If you have this much, you can unlock the entire Gita. So that clarity was extremely helpful to me. Then I have to come back and restudy the whole Gita with this key. And surprisingly, I found that, yeah, now it's clear. It flows from one topic to the other. And this is where the traditional teaching helps us. Let me pause here. Anybody has any questions or comments?
Rajesh, just one clarification.
Yep.
We have this 3 steps to attain this self-realization. One is Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Sthiti, and then the realization, right? So Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga is the first for the Chitta Shuddhi, right? The meditation also comes there, or is it a...
Upasana Yoga, meditation falls under Upasana Yoga.
Upasana Yoga. Yeah.
So Upasana Yoga, if you remember, right, we talked about 4 things. One is the discipline of the body. So yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta sopnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. So that is the first upasana. Make sure that you are disciplining your body. Appropriate food, quality, quantity. Appropriate sleep, quality, quantity. Not too much, not too less. Appropriate level of activity, not too much. I'm not going to do 2000 minutes of exercise every week. 150, 200 is good. And not too less. I'm not sitting in a couch 24/7. Appropriate amount of recreation. This is the first stage, number 1. Stage number 2 is speech. Control your speech. Anudvekakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam. This is the 17th chapter. We are going to study this. And the third one is disciplining the sense organs. We saw that yatha samharate chayam kurmongani vasarvashaha. You decide what you are going to take from the world. It's not like you're going to dump everything from the world into your mind. No, you decide what is good for you. So a disciplined sense organs. And finally, the disciplined mind. So in that mental discipline, we will see later in the chapter, Krishna is going to give you the meditation techniques. So in that meditation techniques, we talk about relaxation, concentration, expansion, and value meditation. So this is the steps to stabilize the mind and calming the mind.
Thank you.
You got the depth, right? How it's with a total picture Gita is approaching. It's not random verses. So this is this framework in which Gita is organized. So this diagram is very important. So with that, let's quickly talk about the topics covered by the 3rd chapter. 1 to 7 verses. It is the importance and role of Karma Yoga. So this part is going to highlight. We will highlight this part. Because why we cannot go from here to here, why this step is needed. So this topic is highlighted from verse 1 to 7. And 8 to 20, the Karma Yoga is explained in detail. And then 20 to 29, the role of a wise person is explained. For example, suppose you are reached this stage. Can you condemn step 1? Absolutely not. That's why you see that these realized masters, they will do more work. Vivekananda was more engaged in the world than all of us. So they won't leave the karma. And finally, 36 to 40 means 30 to 35, again a summary. And then Arjuna asks another question. How do you handle the problem of this binding desires? So there is a final exclusive discussion. So these are the 5 topics covered in the chapter. I'm just trying to give you an overview of the chapter. 43 verses are there. But this diagram, please keep this in mind, because with this, you will understand this very clearly. And the key topic in the introductory part, it is the knowledge versus karma, because true self-identity is the solution for all the sufferings. If that is the case, knowledge is the only solution, because if the problem is ignorance, the solution is knowledge. And karma, if you go and do karma, what happens? The karma can create more and more impression, and it can prevent you away from the knowledge. For example, if you start doing more karma, it will make you more bound. So the binding desires can be created by karma. You all know that, right? If you start drinking coffee every day or a period of time, you get addicted to that. All of us know that. Karma can have a problem of creating bondage. So how do you handle that? Because the karma can act against you. But Krishna is going to give you a brilliant method by which the same karma can be used to flush out all the problem. So this is another key topic in the discussion of this chapter. So what is the role of karma in the life of a seeker? And second topic is, shouldn't we pursue knowledge exclusively right away by giving up all the karma? So why don't I just retire to Himalaya? I don't want to take care of my responsibility. I want to run away from my responsibility. That was Arjuna's question. No, that won't help you. So these topics will be clarified in this chapter. Any questions? Okay. So if that is the case, somebody was asking me, a question: what exactly is the books I am personally using to as a reference material of this chapter? These are the books I am personally using. That doesn't mean that that is the exclusive set of books, but books or other sources. So I'll just go over that one by one. Holy Gita of Swami Chinmayananda, Bhagavad Gita Home Study Series, Volume 3 by Swami Dayananda Saraswati, The Message of the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Ranganathananda. Then absolutely the Bhagavad Gita means this book is by Dr. C.K.S. Pillai. Most of you may not have heard this book, but this book is an amazing book. He compiled this brilliantly. It is available in Amazon. Dr. C.K.S. Pillai. I know him very personally. He is a retired scientist from one of the senior government institute of India. He lives in Trivandrum, and he is categorized as one of the top 20% of the scientists in the world. So he wrote this book. It's an excellent book. God Talks to Arjuna, that is Paramahamsa Yogananda's book. Then Bhagavad Gita for Awakening, and this is Swami Nirmalananda Giri. It's known as Albert George Barker. His book is also bringing a different perspective, so I refer that. And of course, Swami Shankaracharya's commentary of the Gita. The End of Sorrow is another book by Eknath Ishwaran. I refer that. I refer to the teachings of Swami like Tadatmananda, his podcast and his talks I always follow. Swami Paramarthananda, this book is available. You can download this book from Arsha Avinash if you want. And Swami Chinmayananda's DVDs and lectures, I have the full copy with me. And then there is another book by Swami Rama. It is known as Perennial Psychology of the Gita. I don't limit myself with one book or one source, but these are some of the references I use, and I use my own contemplation. And I use one more podcast very regularly, which I will have to add here. It is I couldn't get an image, but I'll add that maybe today or tomorrow. It is Swami Sarvapriyananda's podcast. So these are the reference I personally do, if that answered that question. So we will make sure that the slides will be available to you on Tuesday. This video will be available to you on Tuesday. Please follow this chapter very thoroughly. If you miss one session, please listen to the recordings prior to the next session. Go over the slides. If you study a little bit attention, this would be a Brahma Yajna, and I'll tell you the rewards are going to be extremely high. So I already created a volunteer group who means Sarita is there, Sanjay ji is there, Rajesh Menon ji is there. So Gina is there. They are reviewing this presentation, making sure that it is correct and complete. So hopefully by Tuesday I can check it out. And going forward by Friday, I'll give them the material so that it will be a little bit more streamlined.